I have black floors in my kitchen, and they show every speck of dirt, especially mud tracked in by the dogs. Every day, mud prints are all over the floor, so the kitchen needs to be mopped several times a day. And because of all the problems I had with the iLife W400 and 450 escaping the kitchen, I decided to give the Braava Jet M6 a try. And I'm glad I did because it is an excellent mopping robot. It does have the limitation of a fixed pad that does get filled up with mud, so if I had a really big mess, I would either have to mop it by hand or bring the iLife W450 or W400 to do it. But for daily maintenance mopping, this thing is perfect. So I did have problems with it in regards to escaping my kitchen, just like I did with the iLife robots, but because this is a true navigating and mapping robot, I was able to address those issues, and now I have a perfect mopping solution for not only the kitchen, but for most of the rest of my house. So as you can see, the way this thing cleans is it sprays water and cleaning solution onto the floor, and then moves back and forth. Now, on the surface, this may seem similar to a hybrid robot like my T8 AIVI or the new Roborock S7, which have pads in the back, but the difference is that there's no caster wheel up front on this robot, so a lot of the weight of this is right on that pad. So it actually pushes down hard, and the result is a fantastic clean. And here it is returning to its docking station, which for a mopping robot, for me, is a joyous sight to behold because I've never seen it before. So this has the usual sensor in the front that helps it find its docking station, but this robot also has a sensor in the rear because it has to back up and perfectly align itself with the charging ports. There's that sensor. So this robot is capable of autonomous cleaning because if you have it do maintenance mopping, it takes quite a while for that pad to become dirty and for the water to run out. I have this set on 50% water, which I find is plenty for the type of mopping that this thing does in my house. It navigates very well. It is a V-Slam robot, so it does bump into things quite a bit, but that's okay. It hugs walls very well, although it's going to eventually scratch my refrigerator, but I'll forgive it since it keeps the floor clean. Since it doesn't have a LiDAR dome, it fits under things that some vacuum robots can't get under, so that's good. It cleans under tables and chairs very well. It's a little mesmerizing to watch. I like the sounds that it makes as it makes its little back and forth passes. So you could have it set to one of three cleaning patterns: light, standard, and heavy duty. With heavy duty, it makes multiple passes over the same area and cleans really, really well. But I find that in standard mode, it cleans perfectly well. Again, the only limitation to this is the fact that that pad will get filled up with mud if there's, or other dirt if the floor is too dirty. But it actually holds a lot more dirt than I thought before it starts smearing it on the floor. I haven't had that issue yet, though I do clean the pad every few days, maybe 2 days. And I've got this thing mopping the kitchen once or twice a day. So it's almost a completely hands-off experience. I basically have it run on a schedule, and then every couple of days I just wash that pad or replace it. I bought some aftermarket pads, like 10 of them for the price of two iRobot ones, and they fit and work just as well. And the water tank lasts about 2 or 3 days with 2 to 3 times a day mopping of the small area. Now, if I send it out to the rest of the house, then I'll have to change or clean the pad and fill the tank much more often. My favorite part of this is when it sprayed the cat, because the cat just likes to lie on the floor and not get out of the way of these things, and this thing pulled up right next to him, sprayed him with water, and he bolted. I had hoped that getting sprayed by this would teach him to respect these robots, but nope. He still lies right in front of them. I hope one day it gets him in the face, and I'm going to try to film it. That might teach him some respect. So this thing is not round, but it is small, so it gets under chairs very well and doesn't tend to get stuck there the way that the S9 did or that Nitos do because of their square front and very large size. This thing navigates under chairs as well as a round robot, so it does a great job there. So the biggest problem I had with this, and it's a problem that almost made me want to return it until I figured out how to overcome it, is the fact that it can get over these floor transitions of mine, and not just this one, pretty much everyone in my house, but it can't get back up. So there's not a single transition that I have that it can cross both ways. That is, unless you use the threshold feature, which I'll talk about in a bit. So the issue that it has with floor transitions, or thresholds, depending on what you want to call them, is that there is no ultrasonic carpet detection in this robot. The way it detects carpet is a tilt sensor. So when it rides up onto carpet, it senses that it's tilted. It assumes that what's making it tilt rather, is carpet, and it backs up. So that makes it very difficult for this thing to go back up onto a riser once it's fallen off of it, or to cross a riser, depending on which side it starts from. So to fix this problem, iRobot introduced a threshold mode. So before I talk about that, let's look at this thing try to get back home over this riser. So it goes up, the tilt sensor is activated, and it assumes it's carpet, and it can't go over it. And when this robot first came out, there was no threshold mode, so basically it was unable to cross most types of floor transitions. This is kind of dumb because even when it's trying to get home, it can't do this. Like it knows it's not mopping at this point, it's just trying to get back, but it still won't bypass its carpet detection mode rather. So learning to deal with this was quite a process for me, and I got very frustrated along the way, as you could see here. I'm trying to help it along, and the thing just won't stay where I put it. So eventually I kind of abuse it. I feel bad about that, but life goes on. So the first thing that I did was create no-go zones right along the boundaries of that transition, and that kept it confined once I figured out exactly where to put them. So it no longer escaped my kitchen. It was now useful to me because it could keep that black floor clean, but that did make it useless for the rest of the house. While I was messing around with the map trying to get it to stay in the kitchen but still be able to go to other rooms, I stumbled onto a way to make irregular shaped room dividers in the iRobot app, and I have a video about that which I'll link above. Alright, so let's talk about the threshold feature. Now, as I mentioned, when this robot first came out, there was no threshold feature, so it wasn't able to cross these types of floor transitions, or most types of floor transitions at all, because of its carpet detection. So what threshold does is it creates a zone where carpet detection is disabled. So when the robot senses that tilt, it does not back up, it attempts to go over it. And the algorithm that they use to get it to go over things is pretty good. It kind of turns its way onto the division. Now, there's no reason you can't put threshold mode over your entire floor plan. All that does is it will disable carpet detection everywhere on that map, which you may or may not want depending on how your house is laid out. So this threshold feature basically transforms this robot from a useless thing that gets stuck and can't cross transitions to an excellent whole mopping navigating robot. So its only limitation at this point is that it's a little bit hard for it to cross some of these divisions, and that it does have a single pad that will get filled with dirt if you have it mop too large of an area or if there's too much dirt. Now, the best thing about this robot is how easy and simple it is to keep it running. So with the iLife, you had to drain tanks, fill tanks, clean hair out of stuff. It was a big process, but with this robot, it's really simple. You just detach the pad, and you can either replace it if you're using disposable pads, or you have extra reusable pads that are clean, or you could wash it in the sink like this, although eventually you want to throw it in the washing machine because you can only get so much of the dirt out this way. So rinse it, squeeze out the extra water, and then put it right back in. Now, one thing you need to know about this, let's say you have a dirty pad but a full water tank, the robot will expect you to change or fill the tank when you put the brush back on. So it will not work unless you open that lid and close it again, which is a way to bypass it if you don't actually want to fill or add water. So iRobot calls for 6 capfuls of their cleaning solution, but it doesn't have to be that precise. I just squirt some of it in. I don't even know if I need this, but again, I like the smell. As I've said in my other videos, when it smells clean, it must be cleaner. So that's it. That's all there is to it. Just put that back in, and the robot is ready to go. It's very easy to do. It's not at all unpleasant, and that makes this robot very easy to use. So now it's time for the Muddy Dog Challenge. This is not as much mud as there was in my Muddy Dog Challenge that I did for the iLife W400. And I'm actually not sure how this robot would handle that, but I'll wait for a muddy day and we'll see. My guess is that the iLife will do a better job overall because it doesn't have a pad that can get filled up with mud. But this robot does actually mop better than the iLife ShineBots, as long as you don't overdo it with the pad. So again, for big messes or messes in a very large part of your house, or just to mop your entire house if it's a large house, the iLife would probably do a better job. But as long as you keep the pad clean on this thing or keep changing pads, it's a fantastic mopping robot. I'm very fond of it, and this is now the primary mopping robot for my house. The results are fantastic. I can't see any mud anywhere. It does leave streaks in the floor, but then every mopping robot does. So overall, when you combine this thing's navigation, its ability to get to every part of the house, or almost every part of the house, with how well it cleans, this is definitely a keeper. Now, this does have limitations compared to the iLife W400 and 450, but then again, those have limitations when compared to this. So this cleans better overall, although it has less endurance, if you want to call it that, because of the fixed pad. I think that the robots complement each other. If I had to have just one, I guess it would be this one, because keeping that black floor clean is the ultimate priority for me, and this thing does it hands off most of the time. As I said before, I just set a schedule, change a pad every now and then, fill the tank, and that's it. This robot does have that excellent iRobot app, which has every feature you could possibly want, including custom clean zones. It responds exceptionally well to Google or Alexa commands, giving it tremendous flexibility. So, I love this robot, and I can't believe it took me this long to buy it. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'm Mike, and this is Mr. Rumbato.